What does Hanakop want to achieve for this one? They want to get a sense of grandeur. It's such a massively wide site that we have the ability to make everything just relative to the actual site itself and really quite responsive to the site. And I think the width really lends itself to having a massive entry. But once we set that tone, we have to keep it going. We want to have everything as large as possible. So we're thinking about courtyards, we're thinking about archways, we're thinking about cantilevers, we're thinking about making things float that shouldn't be floating. I think let's just have a sequence of really beautiful spaces that boggle the mind.
An interior perspective, when we want to enter into this home, we want to feature the brick on the exterior and interior face. We want to introduce an open tread stair, which I want to conceal into this wall. And I don't want to see any of the structural supports for the stair. But we also need to incorporate a void above this stair.
The hardest part, to be honest, was to try and conceal the actual structure, because A68 was and Hanakop actually were adamant that they don't want to see any structure. We designed a roof beam which had a threaded rod, which essentially a hanging beam. So it looks like, if you see it in person, like it's floating. There was a bit of compromise with the design in terms of there was a large skylight at the back to achieve that 4-meter cantilever. So we just reduced that void by about 300 mil, and that's how we ran an upturn about 12 meters long. So a 12-meter upturn, 350 wide. A lot of concrete. I think it was 1.2 meters high. I remember when Mo sent me the bill for the concrete, and I thought, I apologize. You got what you wanted.
With any project, we're going to have to look at the structural side of things and how, we're going to make something structurally sound. You're talking about, having things so they're not exposed. So I'm saying having hanging beams sort of put into place. The real complexity with these things is getting the geometry right between all the architectural intent and the structural details. It's one of those processes that it takes a lot of experience and a lot of working with each other, a lot of backwards and forwards from design details and checking and bouncing off each other, the different concepts. So, before anything this even gets off the ground, there is like hours and hours and hours of prep work, sitting down in front of drawings and computers, trying to make those things reality onto a screen first before we can actually put it into practice.
100%. I think the beautiful part was being able to see all the hours of information that just tell it's been there. And you can see it's been stripped down to absolute bare minimal, to the point where it's going to be a fantastically rigid building. It's not going to move, but it also doesn't seem like there's anything holding it up, which I think is really quite an amazing feat.
Rob, in your experience working, you obviously have done a lot of homes in the Shire.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen anything quite to this level of sophistication in Caringbah South?
I think this is really a homage to the amount of care and detail that's going into this project, which I think is also a value that all of us here in collaboration with Hanakop really just have as a key value. I haven't seen anything like it in Caringbah South. I've seen the imitation of curves. I've seen people trying to do things on trend. But the reason why no one does this outcome is because of the time and the labor and the time that's just spent just even thinking and just trying to conceive how this is actually supposed to work. That all costs quite a bit. It's quite a costly process. That's why no one really wants to do it.
And that's why Hanakop's projects are always better and different, because he thinks about all of these details and he will go that extra mile to execute that.